And thank you for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Esther Mopariola. Today on the program, 106 trucks of fertilizer, 463 bags of seedlings looted in Jigawa State during violent cost of living protests. Bandits kill Katsina governor's aide and wife, abduct 28 others. And later on the show, Atiku criticizes President Tinubu's administration over continued payment of subsidy on petrol, outraged over persistent crisis in the oil sector. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Dotu Oladipo. Journalist Hangout starts now. Now, the impacts of the violence that erupted during the End Bad Governance protests are beginning to manifest. In Jigawa State, the Commissioner for Justice, Bello Abdulkadir, said hoodlums, under the guise of hunger protests, looted more than 100 trucks of fertilizer and 463 bags of seedlings in the state. The Commissioner said more than 400 arrests have been made following this revelation, while several others have been prosecuted according to the law enforcement authorities.
Our rating as to poverty level is improving, courtesy of farming, getting used to farms and what have you. Our rating on poverty is improving, courtesy of empowerment the government is doing to youths. These are the places that were attacked and vandalized, looted while in the protest. The over 106 trucks bought in by the government to what? To improve farming was vandalized, looted. Now, in these local governments where these shops and what have you were vandalized, there is no convincing security that there is no guarantee that that shop.
Let's quickly get the perspectives of our guests in the studio. BKO, following this issue, one wonders what could be, there could be definitely underlying grievances and frustrations that would, allow this scale of lootings that happened in Jigawa State, don't you think?
These ones were not protesters. I keep saying it. These ones were not protesters. People set out primarily to steal. You do not call them protesters. There are two things that I hate to hear. Nationwide protest. It was not nationwide. More than a quarter of the states in our country didn't get involved in any form of protest. So what is the definition of nationwide? So it was not a nationwide protest. Then, when people set out, the way they set out in Kano, in Katsina, in Jigawa, in Gombe, the mission is clear, it's just to steal. And they were not just trying to steal from government. They were also out to steal from individuals who had nothing to do with government. Somebody filmed his business premises being looted. So, is that person that you have looted his shop, is he the cause of hunger in the land? No. And that was why some of us said, see, this protest in the way some people conceived it will only permit undesirable elements the latitude to steal in an unrestrained manner. And we saw it in Kano. People looted, they even looted mosque. Took away the rug in the mosque. So, I'm alarmed at what happened in Jigawa, because could it be that this is exaggerated? More than 100 trucks of fertilizer looted. I mean, it's surreal. It's not something that I find it easy to relate with.
Yeah.
This is a lot. Because the time that it would take to loot all of that, and where did those fertilizers end up? People must be arrested. barge into their homes, bring out the items that they've stolen. I saw it in Adamawa State. The governor ordered that all of the things that people looted must be recovered. So those who went as far as looting even a tractor, they recovered from them. How do you protest? And your goal is simply to go and steal a tractor. It is not, that is not a protest. It is bare-faced looting. And they knew what they were doing. They were looking for an opportunity to steal. Baraka department store, located on the way to the Kano government house, one of the iconic department stores in the entire city. These boys went in, looted it to the ground. They've destroyed lives. The same way they destroyed lives when they looted almost the entire stretch of Admiralty Way. And you say you are a protester. Kaiba protester, Bani.
In as much as
Barau.
Indeed, but
Ana zanga nasata. I told my friend, I said, when a zanga nasata, that this whole protest is just to steal.
Yeah.
This is my position. I don't even know how you can convince me that, look, these ones that they were protesting. That's not what you call a protest.
And talking about the issue of stealing, which, you know, is largely what we see here, looting in your own terms. But one would say...
In our terms.
Okay, in our terms.
How do you describe that?
Okay.
Do you have any other word for it?
Well, it's looting, clearly so. But, you know, some have said that this has an underlying issue of hunger, poverty. It might not be a justification for such.
Okay. In the UK, they protested. Is the poverty level in Nigeria the same as UK? In the UK, do they have up to 130 million dimensionally poor people? Their population is in the region of maybe 50, something to 60 million. They kept it at that for long. But they were looting shops. They were looting shops in the UK, and more than 400 people were arrested.
Vandalizing even the airports.
They were looting. They were barging into shops and looting. In the UK, Liverpool, go to the internet and see stories of people looting in the UK. Even in France. You know, in France, they like to protest a lot. They also loot. So people have their goals. When those policemen killed that famous black man, the one that went viral, there were protests. Yeah. There were protests in the US. And people looted. Go back and check. People, they were looting shops. They were breaking down shops and looting. That's why I said, if you want to do the kind of protests where you have unrestrained access to our roads, fill the roads with people, you are not going to be able to control that protest. Those whose mission it is to steal, they will capitalize on it. Thank God for the for armed security people in Kano. Zoo Road, as beautiful as it is with all those shops in Kano, they will have looted everything to the ground. People who went and looted court premises, everything on site they wanted to loot. If a human being was standing, they will be happy to loot the human being. Court premises.
Well, Dick, let's get your perspective, because, you know, from what the commissioner said, about 400 arrests have been made, and he also called this protest act, acts of opposition sabotage, more or less. Would you agree with that position?
Well, the acts of opposition sabotage, I may not be able to defend. But the fact that we've always lost that capacity to have protest controlled is obvious. When this thing was being, the plans were being laid out and the rest, nobody expected anything short of what has happened. Thank God, like BKO said, at some point the police and the military, they had to combine to stop some of these things. Otherwise, it would have been far worse than what we saw. Because by simple calculation, what that 106 trucks of fertilizer means is nothing less than 63,600 bags. If you calculate it at a truck having 600 bags of fertilizer. But we know the way we load things in Nigeria. When you say 600, you can be sure 1,000 will be there in that truck. Meaning that we can be speaking of over 100,000 bags of fertilizer in this period when Nigeria is going through hunger. And these guys are not going to do anything serious with it. You can imagine that fertilizer getting into the hands of Boko Haram.
Yes. They use it for their...
Just try to imagine the effect it's going to have. Mm-hmm. And then in a few weeks, you're now talking about Boko Haram doing their bombings. Where did they get the firepower? From this same protest. And I've always said it. See, those who set out to protest, you must first know them and try to isolate the reasons for this protest. When somebody tells me he's protesting and they are trying to raise 4 billion naira for a protest, then it's telling me that there is something more to it. Because a protest is supposed to be something of free will. Okay, we don't like what this government is doing. Look at what happened during the Jonathan era when Professor Wole Soyinka and the rest had the protest. They told people where they were going to move from. GRA in Ikeja to Ojota, and after that we are dispersing. Anything that happens after that, all those people responsible.
Yes.
Despite that very concise statement they gave and everything, told the police and all the rest, people still took over after they left. And we knew what happened after in Lagos. I went to cover that protest here in Ojota. My car was damaged by the same people who were filming, sending their stories up right away there on the net, and they were sharing the links among themselves. They damaged my car. Some people were not that lucky. They took their cars from them. So when things are happening, we must ask ourselves questions. Is this the right time for the kind of things that we do? What ammunitions are we providing for people to make life unbearable for us? We do a lot of damages to ourselves. In this, under this guise of some people saying we are calling a protest.
And you know, I'm actually particularly concerned about the long-term effect of the food insecurity this would have because of the...
It's obviously going to continue.
So how do you think the government needs to address this? Because that is
it's only in one state that we have this. Do you know the number of states?
Yes.
This would have happened?
Yes.
Do you know the number of states? Even food that was supposed to go to people that were supposed to be shared reasonably, in a number of states, they went and took it out. And some people, you see them having 2 bags of rice, 4 bags taken to their homes. What do they do with it at the end of the day? They take it back into the market and sell it at a costlier price. So we need to be careful.
You protest? You said you were protesting. You climbed to the top of a building. You relieved the building of its roof.
You keep damaging.
Because you wanted to sell roofing sheets. After you relieved the building of its roofing sheets, you then looted the place and then set it ablaze. What is the meaning of that? Sheer madness. So you looted a man's building and then proceeded to set it ablaze. What do you call that? You still call that protest? You call barefaced looting protest? I mean, it's not a protest.
People need to be careful.
It's not a protest. And people keep saying, Tinubu was organizing protests, he was doing this, but his protest was localized in an area. They talk about 2011, that Tinubu organized protests. Nobody is saying that you should not organize protests. But the protests that you talk about, Tinubu did not parade the streets. It was localized
in an area.
Right there in Ojota, at the facility that we know our people like to use for protest.
In Ojota.
All we said is parading the streets will invite all kinds of undesirable elements to turn the protest to something else. Nobody said don't protest. Every time, it's an inalienable right. But rights have limitations. The Constitution defines the limitations. Right. So the fact that you have the right to protest does not mean you should take away my own rights to not protest. And you cannot intimidate me because I chose not to join you in your protest. We saw a lot of intimidation. You block roads, there are people that people should use, you block it. You've infringed on people's right of movement. And that is why they said, okay, stay in a location. In the UK, those who blocked roads, they were put on trial and jailed.
Yeah.
The record is there. You can fact check me.
There. It's in Nigeria that
and
people,
then you say, oh, those
make
are
issues out of
Senna climbs,
people being arrested.
In the Senna climbs, when you step out of line in the name of protest,
Going for it.
they will serve you breakfast. It's a you'll be dealt with severely so that you don't do it again.
All
so
right,
this is the thing. We have to proceed from there.
Right.
People can protest, but don't use the opportunity to go and steal.
Absolutely.
Because when you steal in the way that they are doing, they are ruining people's lives. As I've said before, most Nigerian business people don't even insure their business premises. When you loot their business premises, you've ruined their life. You've ruined the lives of those that work for them. But some of the people who are happy to see evil things going on in our country, they don't talk about this because they've sold their conscience. They don't talk about this. Right. You must talk about evil.
And they also create the impression that everybody is a thief.
All right, that's a fine place to leave this discussion. Let's quickly move on to our next focus, where banditry ravaging the north took an ugly twist in Katsina State, where the bandits killed an aide to the state governor, Salisu Ango, his first wife, and abducted his second wife. The chaos ensued when they stormed his residence, while in a separate attack, the bandits stormed Shegi community in Batsari local government area, killing one person and abducting 28 others. Dotun, let me come to you on this, because when I see such stories, I wonder the level at which these bandits are going, to the extent that they've taken the aide. They've killed a governor's aide and abducted his wife.
You know, in that state, it was just of recent that some of the security measures put in place were relaxed, because people were even complaining that moving around had become a problem. So, most part of that state, from what even the governor said, including the capital, is unsafe. And it's good we are talking about this as possibly an isolated case. But this is something that occurs virtually every day in that state. This is drawing our attention to the fact that no one is safe, no matter where you live. Because at that level, the governor said must be somewhere in town where we'll think that there is some level of security, where people can say, okay, to an extent, if I move around, nothing should happen. It speaks a lot to what is happening in that state and some other parts.
So are you saying the government isn't working hard?
We're not saying the government isn't working hard. But as the government is working hard, so also are those people working harder and being supported by some elements to achieve. Because at the end of the day, all they are going to be talking about will be ransom in millions. Look at the issue we just spoke about now. People looting fertilizer. Fertilizer provides ammunition for people. They can make bullets, they can do IEDs, different kinds of things from there. So even we, as ordinary citizens who are not dangerous, sometimes we allow these things to happen by our acts. And these people are getting emboldened day by day, because somehow they are able to extract ransom. They are able to make demands. Look at doctors nationwide protesting. That's what I'll describe as a protest. We saw them in one place, in UCH in Ibadan. They were in one place, they were protesting the abduction of their fellow doctor, who has been with bandits for 7 months. 7 months. We saw it here in Lagos. They did that protest within a confined area. They did it in Cross River. All over the country. They did it in Bauchi. They did it in Kaduna. And so it's showing that nobody, that's the lesson I drew from that. Nobody is safe. Because we've had occasions in the past where they've even attacked convoys of big personalities.
Yes.
So what they are saying to us is, see, we are getting emboldened by the day, more and more, and we can do and undo. For that to have happened, I mean, it's alarming. It's
alarming
scary.
Indeed, and very worrisome.
Very worrisome.
We do not know where this...
Who next?
Exactly, where it might lead to. But
Who
BKO,
next?
what options or strategies do you think the government or security agencies need to, address or adopt, rather, to curtail this worrying trend?
There was a time that the governor of Katsina State and some governors from northern Nigeria traveled abroad to have a judge session on insecurity in the north. You wonder what came out of such a meeting, because we need the right approach to tackling this problem. This has gone on for too long, and it's a recurrent thing. At least 13 local governments in Katsina State are not safe. Some are, in fact, terrible. Local government like Basari, Faskari, things happen all the time. Damusa, Kankara. These are local governments where people do not feel safe. And because of the presence of the Rugu forest is a forest that stretches all the way to Central African Republic. So they have where they can keep people and wait until sufficient ransom is paid before they release them. On the 8th of July, 25 persons were kidnapped in a community in Safana local government. On 10th of June, bandits killed 26 persons in Gidam Bofa in Kankara local government. Kankara was where those school boys were kidnapped, I think about 2-3 years ago, when the governor had to even burst into tears. On the 23rd of June, they killed 7 persons in Meidabino village in Damusa local government. Similarly, last week, they attacked Maraba Kankara village, killed 3 persons and injured 5 others. They always target women and children. So this last one, this one that we are talking about, they killed the first wife of the governor's aide and abducted the second wife along with 28 other persons. So there is a big problem of kidnapping in Katsina, Zamfara. Katsina, Zamfara. There is a big problem, and those states link one another. They are neighbors. Kaduna, they have issues too, but there is improvement in Kaduna. But there is suspicion that even from communities, because in Safe local government of Zamfara state, which borders Kaduna, you see a lot of activities of bandits. So maybe they are facing so much firepower from Kaduna now, and some of them have moved into Zamfara territory. And I've said the solution to this thing is to have a concurrent military operation across all of those contiguous states. I've been saying it for years because I believe that's the solution. Because every time you launch a big operation in one state, maybe there's a big threat from one state, right, and you are constrained to go and launch a military operation there, they will move into another state. Or before you even launch your attack, they get the intel, they move into a neighboring state. So when you do your battleground post operation assessment, you see that it appears you didn't kill anybody. These things happen, and you will have wasted drop bombs on empty bandit camps. A situation in which people like Bello Truji, they are still boasting. They are still there. We've not been able to take them out. And these are the key big bandits. The only time we kill those big bandits is if they quarrel among themselves. I'm not saying this to diminish the efforts of the military, but the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. Because those guys are still standing. They are still standing, even insulting our sensibility. So there is a need for a change of approach.
Right.
If a method is not working, you have to try another method. You have to keep trying. Keep tweaking your methods. Keep tweaking your methods until
you get what is right.
You achieve your aim.
Right.
When you hit the right formula, even you will know. And then you stick to that right formula, and then you win the war. I know that this kind of battles take so long.
Yeah.
In Sri Lanka, they had to battle Tamil tigers for about 25 years. But eventually, they got victory. I do not agree that insurgency cannot be defeated. I was in an argument with a soldier who was telling me, no, insurgencies are not defeated. I gave him 2 examples, Algeria and Sri Lanka. And he was just looking at me because clearly over time he too had been led to believe that you do not defeat an insurgency. I gave those 2 examples. Algeria and Sri Lanka, Tamil tigers, 25 years, but they secured victory.
So insurgency can be defeated if we apply the right approach.
Yes, and you are focused and you are determined.
Absolutely.
To get there.
Well, let's quickly go on a very quick break. We have more discussions in just a moment. Stay with us. Still on to Journalist Hangout if you're just joining us. And well, let's move to our next conversation where surrounding petrol subsidy in Nigeria is a hot one, and it may not fizzle out anytime soon. A report of the return of the fuel subsidy regime is ruffling feathers in many quarters. Our former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has criticized President Bola Tinubu's administration over the continued payment of subsidies on premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol. Atiku expressed concerns over lack of transparency in the process, citing contradictions with earlier declaration by the administration that fuel subsidy has ended. Well, Atiku also expressed outrage over continued crisis in the oil sector. BKO, we understand the former PDP governorship or presidential candidate rather is reacting to the president's approval by the NNPC to use last year's dividends now due to federal government now to pay petrol subsidy. But what do you make of these concerns with the likes of petrol subsidy believed to have been ended by the present administration? What do you make of this?
This is just politics. And former Vice President Atiku is an old man. He's a leader in his own right. The question we should ask is, okay, if you found yourself in this situation, what will you do? What will you do? He said a lot of things, but he didn't offer any suggestion as to how we can get out of this. This was the same man who opposed the idea of having the CBN receive payments made to the NNPC. The CBN is the government's banker. NNPC receipts belong to Nigeria. Payments made to NNPC belong to Nigeria. CBN was asked to take charge from now on that whatever payment they are making to NNPC should go to the CBN. What is wrong in that? Atiku criticized, they said they should have left them alone. They should not have directed the CBN to be receiving their payments on their behalf. That's when I realized that, okay, this is politics. Now let's go into this whole thing. President Tinubu is not a fool. And he's a human being. He has blood flowing in his veins. He made an announcement that subsidy was gone. Yes, subsidy in the way we knew it. In the way we knew it is gone. In the way we used to appropriate money for it is gone. No one can say that subsidy in the way we used to know it is not gone. None of the people saying that can bring a single marketer that subsidy was paid to. In the past, they used to pay subsidy to them now. Some of them will go and import product and divert it to Benin Republic and sell. Some of them will sell products that we paid them for, the country paid them to bring in product. The country paid subsidy to them. They will sell it on the high seas. There are people still being put on trial as we speak. People, they can use Google to check. They will see people who are put on trial.
Yeah.
In fact, the son of a high-ranking politician in this country was put on trial as a subsidy thief. Subsidy, the way we knew it, is gone. That's why states are getting much more money now than before. Because government was not appropriating money for subsidy and simply paying subsidy the way they used to pay it. What then happened? Let's take our minds back to immediately after the announcement that subsidy was gone.
Right.
Was made, because we will simplify this matter. People keep saying, they say subsidy is gone. Subsidy was removed. But after subsidy was removed, our currency crashed. What was the landing cost in June 2023? June 20, what was this landing cost? It was just about 600 naira. Yes. At that point, no subsidy on it. That was the landing cost. Then, when naira crashed, naturally, the landing cost will go up.
True.
That is a fact of life. And the moment our currency crashed the way it did, and the landing cost went up, today, the landing cost is in the region of maybe 1,300 and something. I know that in our country we do not include energy tax, but in spite of that, and some countries pay as much as 64% as energy tax. We do not pay energy tax in our country, but it's still in the region of 1,300 and something. Now, if things change suddenly that you did not expect, and as a consequence of the flotation of the currency, our currency declined, and even further declined, because when it was floated, it was around 900. Then declined to like 1,600 now. Who is that president who is so unfeeling? Who will now say, okay, because people are shouting that there should be, that we should not subsidize PMS, then people should go and buy at 1,300 naira per liter. They are the same people who will stand on the rooftops and be calling Tinubu a wicked person, that is not a human being. There's nothing they will not say. Now, the NNPC, creatively working with the federal government, has found a way to keep petrol price constant. Now they are shouting, oh, subsidy is back. What if subsidy is back? What is the big deal if it's back? America, India, they continue to subsidize their farmers till tomorrow. Thailand knows that. Thailand is a big rice producer. They still subsidize farmers. I've seen even protests in the past in some of these countries over subsidy for commodities. So let us not attempt to make it look like it's such a big crime to subsidize, to make life a little better for our people. If I had my way, I would not even support the removal of subsidy. The reason some people convinced me was because, okay, the people were stealing from it. You are stealing through it. Because all of those things that they tell us, oh, we are subsidizing consumption, people like the former CBN governor, Sanusi, who talk about the fact that we are subsidizing consumption, we are subsidizing a few people, we are making a few people richer. They forget the fact that this PMS is the oxygen of growth for SMEs. Those small companies, those small business enterprises, they use petrol. Even the person who grows rice, he needs to irrigate his farm his rice fields. They also need to buy petrol. They don't think about these things. Now we can see what people are going through. People with small trucks that they use to move things around. Is it not petrol that they use? Okay. So, and the reality that this government didn't create is the fact that this product is an international product. There's nothing we can do about its pricing. If the price goes to 200, maybe tomorrow, if Russia threatens America, you know, or China threatens India, or China says it's going to bomb Taiwan, you know, that will bring America into the equation. If they do that, and the price of petrol, crude oil in the international market goes to $200 per barrel. So you expect a government that has something here to still come and sell
below,
sell at that prevailing landing cost? No. I've been saying it that petrol is a security product. That this government, having increased it that time, must not try to increase price again. I've been warning that they should not try it. People like Atiku and others can keep shouting that we are paying subsidy. Is it not our money as a country? What is wrong in subsidizing the product? Are we going to be comfortable? If you are a president, will you be happy to sell at maybe 1.5 per liter? Can he? So this is the thing. It wasn't that subsidy was not removed. But after subsidy was removed, our currency crashed. So we should just go, because the currency crashed, we should go and sell at the prevailing rate. It's not going to happen. They can say all they like. It's not going to happen. And what the NNPC calls it is under recovery. Whatever name they choose to call it, Nigerians deserve consistent supply of the product. Right. And they must also buy at a rate that is affordable to them. Because if it becomes unaffordable to the ordinary Nigerian, life will become even more unbearable. That is why I support, whether it's under recovery or whatever they call it, I support it at this stage. We can't do, you must not increase fuel price. If you increase fuel price, you want to kill Nigerians. Leave it the way it is. When the price is stable, people can plan. And that's what government wants. And President Tinubu said something, I think around October. He said, if there is a need for us to intervene, we will intervene. And there are many ways by which they can intervene. Right. They can make the forex available. Oh yeah, bring in this product. Look at the deal that they had with the Afrexim Bank. They provided some millions of dollars. It was meant to keep fuel price stable. Right. So there are many things that they are doing. Sometimes too, when they sell crude, let me give an example. You sell crude, you sell 500,000, it's just an example, 500,000 barrels. You can then say, okay, the 200 that is on top of it, you are selling to a refiner. You can say the 200 that is on top of it, use it as the cost of refining the product that you then send back to me. They've done a lot of creative things just to keep this price stable, so that they don't just saddle Nigerians with, because it wasn't Nigerians that said, okay, the Naira should crash in the way that it did. So if you are based abroad and you know where you are based, they subsidize. They subsidize all kinds of things. If you are shouting about the fact that the NNPC and the federal government have found a way to subsidize so that we don't move from the present price regime to maybe double the price, then you are not a good Nigerian. You are just looking for trouble. It is evil that makes you happy.
All right, let's pick it up on the issue of recovery now. Dr. BK said something that NNPC, well, might have recovered some of its gains over time. But talking about its recovery, the NNPC also said that it has a net profit of about 3.297 trillion naira, for 2023. What factors do you think could have contributed to this turnaround?
Well, in 2023, the major thing we witnessed was the withdrawal of the subsidy, which is good, and which is what a lot of Nigerians have always wanted.
Absolutely.
But the thing that they want the more now is even the availability of that product. Because we've seen that what we've not witnessed in Lagos in so many years is happening now. That is this kind of queue where even the roads are blocked. As I drove in here now, the mobile station on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway after the old toll gate has become blocked almost up to the point of the old toll gate, because people are struggling to have access to the few stations with product. And that is where a lot of Nigerians are concerned.
Yes.
Because if NNPC declares a profit of 10 trillion, for instance, and we are not seeing the impact on the road, for us to have fuel, people can drive in and buy, nobody is interested in this profits. That's why you see Nigerians don't pay attention to banks when they declare their interest, because the profit remains in the banks. It doesn't affect the man on the street. Rather, what a lot of Nigerians clamor for, oh, okay, it's my money that they are declaring as profit. I've helped them to make that profit. But it doesn't affect them.
Absolutely.
So, in the process of talking about this subsidy, the concern for a lot of people has been the fact that government has not come out directly. What NNPC offered us yesterday was an explanation that we've introduced subsidy by way of reaching an agreement with government that whatever is the shortfall in the cost of getting this product to the station, we are paying for it, we are buying it. It's like you having a bad debt and somebody is taking it off you.
Right.
That person is going to put it back somewhere. Because what it means is the money NNPC should ordinarily put in the federation account is going into that. So it's subsidy. And the way I see government, and successful ones at that, is the ability to communicate to the people the processes you are going through. And when there are checkpoints, when there are obstacles, like we have them everywhere all over the world, we should have somebody talking to us. It shouldn't be left to the opposition to be given documents by insiders to say this thing is back. We should hear it directly from the government. We shouldn't be waiting on the likes of Atiku Abubakar. We shouldn't be waiting on the likes of Peter Obi to tell us that this thing is back. It is what it is, because certain things go wrong. You can't have it 100% foolproof. When this thing was withdrawn last year, we were all very happy. And we saw the immediate impact. Like BKO said, a lot of state governments are getting more money. It's showing. If you look at the last allocation from the Federation Accounts allocation, it's higher than what people have always gotten. And the government is doing well. And these are the areas where government too should be talking. Because when you don't talk, people don't know what you are doing. Government is able to save more. our external reserve has risen. And that is the only way we can begin to reflate our naira. Because when you don't have any backup, people look at you like you are defenseless. Your currency is at their mercy. They are the ones who will decide how you run. And those are the things the government should be proud of, should be talking about consistently. That's why we have a Minister of Information. That's why we have National Orientation Agency. That's why we have different layers of spokesmen in the presidency. People should be talking to us. Nigerians are not deaf. But when you begin, you wake up and what you are saying is the kind of news you are witnessing in Lagos. Then you know that the whole country is in trouble. Inside Lagos, people are buying from the pump 1,000 naira per liter. They are buying. It's not as if it's not available, but you see places where those Shylock people have taken over 1,200 from the pump. If you need fuel now, I can tell you some stations to go. You just drive in and buy under 10 minutes. So we need government to be talking to us. We know that it won't be easy to sustain subsidy. It can never be easy because there are people who are waiting for the slightest thing to profit from it.
We were even taking loans to pay subsidy.
And people are waiting. People are even waiting.
Taking loans. We didn't have the money.
We didn't have the money.
The previous regime, was spending 97% of its earnings to service debts. Where are you going to find money to do other things?
And then this government is really not talking about the fact that it has reduced that to about 60-something percent.
No, they talked about it.
No, I'm saying it should be strident. We should not drown the opposition.
There are people who don't want to hear that. Even
exactly.
If they say that tomorrow, they will point at hunger. We see everything through the prism of hunger. We see everything through the prism of our belly. They are talking about tangible things. People will say, sometimes they will say, oh, how does it put food on my table? No, it's a very asinine,
it will ultimately
very asinine question to ask. You are talking about something really germane, and they ask, how will they put food on my table? Must everything end up in your belly? Also, these are the issues. The point is, subsidy was removed. Even in 2016, 2017, this same thing happened to Buhari. Buhari stopped when we had that recession. The price of crude oil in the international market came down and there was no need to pay subsidy. But when it went up again, between 2016 and 17, government was now back to increasing fuel price from 87 naira to I think 140 or 145. Yeah, if you recall. Yeah. That was what caused it.
And then from 165.
Because when it came down, I think it came down to less than 30. $30 per barrel. There was no need to pay subsidy. So in effect, at that time, there was no subsidy. And the government was talking about that, no, subsidy is gone. But when it went out in the international market, when it went up, they had no choice. That was when Buhari moved price to 145 naira from 87 naira that it inherited it from the Jonathan administration. So it's just a case of, okay, you had a plan, it didn't work. What do you then do? Do you then make Nigerians to suffer as a result of that and double the price? No, it's only an insensitive and extremely wicked government that will want to do that. So they found a way. NNPC has obligations to make to the Federation account. Some of these payments have left it unable to meet that obligation. Completely. But is it not even better to keep prices stable?
Right.
Than do the opposite and make Nigerians even suffer the more? So for me, I would rather vote for something that makes life easier for our people. And I said, Atiku Abubakar will not give an alternative
solution.
Yes, to the mess that we find ourselves. If you are angry that they are paying subsidy, they found a way to pay subsidy. What is your option? Will you then suggest that they should go and sell petrol at 1,400 per liter? We have scarcity now. I don't know what caused the supply hiccups, but I know that things will come down.
Yeah.
They will solve. They will address the problem. When they address it, nobody will buy petrol at 1,200 naira in Lagos, because before now I wasn't buying it at that. We know that there's a problem.
Yeah,
they have a problem which we expect them to address.
Yeah.
If the people there know what they are doing, if they are to keep their jobs, they must solve this problem.
But in talking about addressing this situation, one would say that the long-term solution we need right now is for our refineries to be working at optimal capacity, if we're to go away from fuel subsidies and all the shenanigans that goes with it as well.
Refineries must work. Our currency must get stronger. Whatever you do that does not affect our currency, because we will never sell at below the international price. No. If our currency is strong, it can absorb the shocks that are pushing prices sky high. So whatever we are doing, people like Olaimeka Doso, the CBN governor, they should put on their thinking caps.
Very quickly too.
We can't have a situation in which Naira is exchanging for 1,600. That should even be a personal shame to the CBN governor, that in his time that is happening. He has to manage our currency better. If our currency gets stronger, the landing costs that people are talking about will also go down, because our currency is weak. That's what drove up the landing cost. They know, the people who are making a mountain out of a molehill, shouting that we are paying subsidy, they know that is the value of the currency that pushed things up. And I am saying, let's strengthen our currency. Let's take steps that will strengthen our currency. All the countries of the world do not leave their currencies to simply float against international currencies. You have to find a way. China has been tampering with its currency for years. America has been complaining that China deliberately undervalued its currency to attract, to encourage people to buy their product. They want to export as much as possible. They kept the value low so that people will be encouraged to buy their. So it's still part of intervention in your currency.
Right.
So we cannot have a situation in which our currency, I do not even agree that our Naira is that weak. So how did we get to 1,600?
Yeah.
And when you want to do auction, you even go as high as 1,500. That is nonsense. We've got to do something about our currency.
Well,
when we do that, it will affect every other thing. This landing cost will not be this high, because the currency has the power to absorb the shocks. So these are the things. Let them continue to subsidize the petrol the way they are doing.
Right.
They should not listen to Atiku or anybody who wants Nigerians to buy at the landing cost.
All right, well, that's where we have to leave it, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your insights. Unfortunately, Dr. we could have taken more from your perspective on this, but that is where we have to end today's program. Dr. Oladipo and Babajide Kolade Otitoju, thank you so much, sir, for your insights on the show. And that's it on today's edition of Journalist Hangout. Join us again for a repeat broadcast of the show at 11. Join us as well on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And we are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria.